Hi, my name is J.R. Tallman, and in this NetSuite tutorial, I'm going to walk you through the configuration process of automatic bank statement import in a NetSuite, specifically how to import using an SFTP connection from your bank, which is the most common approach. Now, I am using a development account in the administrator role, and I recommend you use your sandbox before moving this to production. The first thing we're going to do is make sure that we have the Auto Bank Statement Import SuiteApp installed. Now, this is a free SuiteApp, which we can easily install underneath the SuiteApps Center tab at the top of the page. So if we go ahead and just click that SuiteApps. And once this loads, what we can do is simply search for the Auto Bank Statement Import. So I'm just going to go ahead and search for Auto Bank Statement. And we were going to look for the Auto Bank Statement Import SuiteApp by Oracle NetSuite. So I should have this nice logo on here. Go ahead and click this. This is a free bundle by Oracle NetSuite, as you can see in the top right-hand corner of the screen. And what you're going to want to do is simply click on Install up here. There should be a blue button. Now, this has already been installed in my development account, so you can see it does stay installed. Once it is installed, what will happen is this will show up underneath Customization, Suite Cloud Development, and then installed SuiteApp list. So if I go to the installed SuiteApp list, once it is installed, this should show up here, and you can see the Auto Bank Statement Import was successfully installed. Now, once that has been installed, the next thing we're going to do is install the Bank Statement Parsers bundle. Now, this is a bundle. It's not a Suite app, and I'll show you how to install this in just a moment. And what this app will allow us to do is it will allow us to actually import using a BAI2 format, OFX, MT940, CAMT, or CSV. So again, this is a free bundle by NetSuite, and where we can find this is going to be underneath Customization, Suite Bundler, and Search and Install Bundles. Now, once you're on the Search and Install Bundles page, you can simply type in keywords Bank Statement Parsers. And I'm going to click on Search here. And once you search, you should see this Bank Statement Parsers bundle, and it is a public bundle free by NetSuite, and you can simply just click on the name here. And this will pop open the bundle details where you can simply click on Install. It will give us a warning that this will install future updates to your NetSuite account. Do you want to proceed? I'm going to go ahead and simply click on OK here. And when you do click OK, there will be a terms of service that you do need to agree to. So I'm going to go ahead and agree to the terms of service on that. And this will then refresh the next page. And as you can see, it now gives me a preview bundle installation. And we're simply just going to install this bundle. All right, you will be taken to this installed bundles page, which you can get to underneath Customization, Suite Bundler, Search and Install Bundles, and List. Otherwise, what you're going to want to do is make sure this goes from pending to the little checkbox where it is complete. So you can keep on clicking refresh here until this has been complete before we move on to our next step. All right, once this has been installed, you can see this does have the little checkbox icon, and it was installed successfully. The next step, what we're going to do is we're going to create a new format profile within NetSuite to pull our files from an SFTP directly into NetSuite on a daily basis. To set up the format profile, what we're going to do is we're going to go to Setup, Accounting, and Financial Institution. Now, what you're going to want to do is we're going to go and click on this list here. And right now, I don't have anything set up in a financial institution. But you are going to want to set up a financial institution for each of your banks that you're importing statements for on a daily basis. So I'm going to go and click on this New Financial Institution button. And I'm going to name my financial institution for the bank that you're importing. So in my example, I'm going to go and use HSBC. Feel free to give it a description or make it inactive. But in this case, I'm simply just going to click on Save. Now, once this has been saved, you're going to go to this Format Profile Configuration subtab here and simply click on Add. Now, once you're on the format profile, you're first going to want to give this a profile name. So you can keep this as the same as the name that we just gave it in the last page, which is going to be HSBC. And then the format profile type, whether this is going to be a bank reconciliation or corporate card expenses. Most common here is going to be bank reconciliation, so I'm going to keep the default. The next field is going to be the connectivity method. Now, in this example, I'm going to be using an SFTP connectivity, but if you do want to set this up as a manual import to manually import into the system with this profile, you can do so. However, NetSuite by default does allow imports in with BAI2, CAMT, and the other parsers that I had mentioned before. So I'm going to keep this as a SFTP connectivity. and then the transaction parser. Now, the transaction parser is important as this is going to determine which file format the bank is sending us. The most common is going to be BAI2, but if you do have one of these other file formats, you can certainly select this, and you'll just make sure that the mapping that we're going to be doing in just a moment is correct based on the parser that we're receiving for the file. So I'm going to go ahead and select BAI2 plugin implementation. And this transaction parser is coming from the bundle that we just installed. So we don't need to set up this or anything like that. We just simply need to select it, and it is native within that bundle. Feel free to give this a description if you'd like. If you do want to inactivate this later on, you can go ahead and do that. And then you can see our financial institution is just the same name as we gave this profile. Now moving down here, this is the most important piece for connecting to our SFTP to grab the file on a daily basis. Now, as part of my example, what we're going to want to do is put a URL. You can see this URL is a required field. So you're going to want to put your SFTP URL here. So in my example, I can just go ahead and put transfer dot whatever company it might be. I'll put xyz.com. So you'd put your URL for your SFTP here. Now, once you've entered your URL, you can go ahead and enter your username, which is going to be your online banking username. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and put HSBC XYZ. Tab out of there. Next field is going to be the digital certificate or private key ID. Now, this is not required. There's two options that you have to connect to your SFTP. You can connect with a private key, and that can be created and stored underneath setup company and keys right here. So you would need to upload your key and then select your key from this drop down. Now, if you do not use a private key, what you would need to do is enter your password right here. So there are two options, but you do need to use one of those options to connect to the SFTP using this functionality. The next field is going to be the host key that you would get from your bank. They should be providing your host key, and you can populate that right here. So this should be a long string. This should typically start with SSH-RSA and then a bunch of additional text underneath there, right? So they should be providing that host key to yourself. The next field is going to be the host key type. Typically, this is an RSA host key type. So go ahead and select that based on your bank's format. Port, the default here is going to be 22. If you need to change that, go ahead and change it on this particular just freeform text, but typically it is 22. Download file name pattern. Now this is important. You can see it's not required, but if you do have a specific format when the file is getting set within your SFTP folder, you can go ahead and give this a download file name pattern. Now, if you do want to see examples of the download file name pattern and how that works, if you want to incorporate the date in here, you can go ahead and look in the help, and you can go ahead and simply search the auto bank statement import, and it will certainly give you examples of how to set the download file name pattern. If you do not set a download file name pattern here, it will pick up the file that is already in there when it actually tries to import on a daily basis. So I'm going to keep that blank here. And then the next field is going to be the bank server time zone. Now, by default, what NetSuite will do is it will pick up this file on a daily basis sometime between 4 a.m. and 7 a.m. Pacific time. But you will want to put the bank server time zone if it is necessary. But typically, this is kept blank. The next field is going to be the date format for reserved word. So if you do have a download file name pattern here with your date, you're going to want to go ahead and update this based on the format. You can see the default here is with the year, month, day format. The next field is going to be your download directory. Now, the download directory is going to be where this file is put within your SFTP. Now, if you don't put anything here, you can go ahead and use absolute path, and it will look at the absolute path of your directory that you've set up here within your URL. So typically, this is filled out with your download directory. An example would be maybe NetSuite/HSBC/BAI2, right? So it would go to the BAI2 folder and pick up that on a daily basis. Otherwise, if you do have it just in the root directory, go ahead and just use absolute path. The last field here is going to be the download timeout. Default is 300. Typically, I see 300 as the default there. Now, once this has been filled out, what you're going to want to do is click on Submit, and the next step is going to be our account linking, as you can see right here, after we have filled in the configuration data. So click on Submit, and then what will happen is going to be your account linking. Now, the account linking will be all of the bank accounts that are in the file that is being set in the SFTP, so in this case, BAI2 format from HSBC, and I'm simply going to go ahead and put the unique account ID, so your account number, So you can put your unique account number. So I'll just populate this as something. Feel free to put this as the description, and then you're going to want to go ahead and select the linked GL account that this goes to. Now, this is a demo account, so I'm just going to put this as checking update that this is linked. The key for this is whatever accounts that you have within that BAI2 file need to be linked here. So you're going to want to go ahead and do that for all the accounts that you have within that BAI2. So if you have another account, simply just go ahead and fill that out here and select your other linked GL. Once that's been set, the next subtab is going to be code type mapping. 99% of the time, I will say, this BAI2 plugin implementation parser, it will find the correct codes that make up that file and do a good job of doing the bank reconciliation directly with the NetSuite. However, there are some times where there are missing codes that you need to populate. An example of this would be code 968. That is not within this plugin implementation, and this particular 968 transaction code is for bank fees, specifically monthly charges. You will need to select a bank data type here. So I'm going to go ahead and select fee, and then whether it is a credit or debit for your reconciliation. So this would be a debit, and then simply add a new row. Now this is not required down below here. If you do have any errors when it does come across on the daily bank import, this could be one of the root causes where the bank parser is not reading all of the transaction codes. Now, once you've set up the connectivity configuration, your account linking, and optionally your code type mapping, you're simply going to want to go ahead and save this. Now, once you save this, what will happen is it will automatically try to populate and pull from that SFTP so you can see whether your connection was successful. So if you do have a test file, before you click save here, make sure to put that in the SFTP folder or the root directory, and then you can click on save, and this will pull in and you can see if there are any errors. So you'd click on save here, and I'll go and click on save. And what will happen is NetSuite is importing your bank data from your financial institution. Above will show, and you can simply click on this hot link where it says track your status. Now, once you click on that, this will be taken to the bank import history page, and this can be found underneath transactions, banking import history. So if I just click on that, it will take me to the same page here. And you can see this failed because I didn't put in real information for my SFTP. But to give you an idea if this was successful, it would say successful here. Otherwise, you can just simply click the little plus and you can see what the failure reason might be. So in this case, there is no connectivity configuration setup found for the SFTP connection. So if this does fail, what you can do is you can go back into that page underneath Setup, Accounting, Financial Institution, and List. Click on View for our financial institution. Go back to the Format Profile Configuration subtab here. Simply click on Edit down below. Make any adjustments to your connectivity configuration. Maybe you have an incorrect folder, or you need to upload a different key. Maybe you're not using the password. Then once you click on Save here, it will retry that connection. So if you are successful, that will say successful underneath Transactions, Banking Import History. And what will happen is on a daily basis, every day now moving forward, it will automatically pull in that file between 4 and 7 a.m. Pacific time. Do keep in mind that it's only picking up one file per day as well. So if you do need to have multiple files picked up, NetSuite will not do that. You would need to create multiple format profiles to point to different directories. Once the file has been imported successfully, you will then see your transactions underneath Transactions, Bank, and Match Bank Data. So you will find the match bank data here. On the left-hand side, it will show you all of the transactions that got imported based on that BAI2 file, and you can select your account up here, which you would see the transactions. Now, one thing to keep in mind if you are using BAI2 as your format profile is if you go to your chart of accounts underneath List, Accounting, and Accounts, you're going to want to go and edit the accounts that are being imported within your BAI2 file. So you can go ahead and click on Edit here within your bank accounts. And on this bank account, you are going to want to make sure to use Match Bank Data and Reconcile Account Statement pages. This should be checked off, so you're using the Match Bank Data page. And then underneath the Bank Import Mapping subtab here, you're going to want to enter your originator identification field, which is your 02 record, and the 03 record, which is your customer account number. So this is just simply your account number, and then the 02 is your originator identification field. So if you do open up the file, if you have a sample file for your BAI2 file, you can simply look on the 02 line, and there should be a number there on the 02 line, and that will be your originator identification field. Now, why this is helpful is when you enter enter this, NetSuite knows which bank account goes with the correct GL type. This is helpful for doing manual imports into NetSuite. So if you go to Transactions, Banking Import History and Upload File, you can simply click on the import with the default parser here, select your file, and click on import. And that will then look at the 02 and the 03 records from the GL account. Lastly, while I am on this page, if you do select a financial institution here, you can see I don't have anything from the drop down. So if you recall back on that financial institution page, I had the option of doing a connectivity method of SFTP connectivity or manual connectivity. And you can see that right here with the connectivity method. So if I do select manual import here, I could set up another profile for a manual import, and then I would be able to use that from the drop down here as a manual option in case my import fails on a daily basis for any reason. I can just go ahead and use that financial institution profile that's set up as manual. It might be helpful, what I've seen in other companies, to set up two profiles like you're seeing on the screen, one that's automated with the SFTP connectivity and another one that's a manual import with your information, and the manual import is only used in case something fails. This concludes how to set up the auto bank statement import process within NetSuite using an SFTP connectivity and BAI2 or additional parsers. I hope you found this video helpful. Please like and subscribe. If you do have comments, list those down below, and I hope to see you on the next video. Thank you.